If you didn't grow up being emotionally and psychologically abused, then you have no idea how hard it is to be proud of yourself for anything. Like, people would tell me all the time, oh my God, you got a master's degree. Oh my God, you started your website. And I would be like, so? When nothing you do is good enough for the people that raised you and brought you life, you just don't think you'll ever be good enough, like, at all.
You aren't a fucking exception to the rule. You're the whole reason I have it, you dumb bitch.
Hi, you don't have to apologize. It's totally not annoying. And don't panic. I know that sometimes coming to the realization of the abuse that you suffered can be jarring, to say the least, but don't panic, I promise. When it comes to psychological abuse, I can only talk about my own experiences with two parents that are narcissistic. So let's just talk about specifically dating. Anytime I would date someone, they would of course never be good enough for my narcissistic parents. My father once told me that he took a job in Saudi Arabia just to escape the hurt of seeing me in this terrible relationship. The person I was with was kind and polite. There was really nothing wrong with them. Just whatever my narcissistic parent didn't think was good enough. Meanwhile, my narcissistic mother once demanded that my current boyfriend buy her good Christmas gifts. It's just one of those things where they constantly make it so that you're not enough. And neither are your choices. Psychological abuse was just like creating doubt in my own mind, creating doubt in the fact that I could make the right decisions for myself, that I didn't constantly need the validation of my narcissistic parents, realizing that like they don't actually like love me fully and it's very conditional. And then you start to wonder, like, how much do I really value if you only actually show me love when I'm doing things that make you look good or that you can brag about, but when it's something that I'm passionate about, it's made fun of, constantly being criticized. Literally seconds that I walk in the door, I'm told, oh, you look terrible, or your clothes seem too big for you, or too small for you. It's just a constant barrage of criticism that ultimately makes you question who you are and if you actually have value.
I've been wanting to talk about abusive fathers for a long time, but it's such a hard thing for me to talk about because I feel so full of things to say. In my family, I'm the scapegoat child of two narcissistic parents, and I grew up knowing that my dad didn't really like me. Despite what anyone told me, I knew it, I felt it. I was absolutely treated that way all the time. Everything was my fault. But especially when you're a Black girl from a two-parent household, you're not allowed to say anything negative about your father because you're just supposed to be happy that he's there. And you are reminded that he could have left. So you're just supposed to be happy no matter how he treats you. And the more independence you gain, and if you get into a relationship, all bets are off. It just gets worse and worse. That's why I tolerated a lot of men who disregarded my feelings, because the first one always did.
When you said it was over, you shot right through my heart. Why you let these hoes tear what we had right apart? I should have seen this.
I made a video talking about how millennial women can't spot a good man, but I feel like before I can break that down, I have to talk about why millennial men are so fucked up. I want to preface this by saying that these are my observations. I think society has made the definition of what it means to be a man so narrow that a lot of millennial men subconsciously don't believe they're ever going to amount to that. I'm not even sure many millennial men value the pervasive, extreme affluence that is projected in our society. If you don't value something, why would you strive for it? In addition, I think many of them spent their childhood being emotional spouses to their mothers. So when they're confronted with the intimacy level that is required for an adult relationship, they see it as a breach of their emotional boundaries. That's the energy that they should be giving their mom, but instead they end up giving it to their girlfriend. Again, this is my cis hetero point of view. Then you have to add on top of that a society that trains them to believe that anything wrong with them is outward, not inward, and then proceeds to distract them with constant sports and gaming so they never actually have to focus on themselves. That man can't be a good partner. I love when people try to virtue signal me and say, I would never drag the Black man the way that you do. I hope that you don't have a son. I hope that I do have a son.
You want to know why? Because my son's going to have a mother, not a first wife, not someone who complains to him about her emotional problems, Trey. My son is going to have a mother who respects his physical and emotional boundaries, who when he falls in love and takes a partner, knows her place. Trey, when your mother does that for you, you can come and talk to me, because guess what? When my son grows up, I'm going to ride off into the sunset with my partner and start the next half of my adult life. I'm going to be his mother. He's going to lean on me. He's going to love himself because I'm going to give him the space to do that. So when your mom does that for you, Trey, then come talk to me. Okay?
So let's continue the conversation, shall we? The way that boomers mothered millennial men is a cautionary tale for any millennial woman who desires to be a partner or potentially a mother someday. When you make it your partner's responsibility to give you the life that you want, keep you happy, balance all of your emotional needs, you run the risk of creating an entitled and selfish mentality. You're literally denying yourself your own free agency to make your desires come true. And you create a false perception that you're the victim. But you're not. You simply just lack self-belief and self-efficacy. And do you know what's a toxic little drug to a woman who lacks self-belief? The purest love from a baby boy's heart. This happens in single-family households and in two-parent households. The woman isn't getting what she needs, and so she sucks it out of her son. And yes, this can happen to girls too. And while you are very much so correct, the next question becomes, who does this really benefit? They don't do everything for them because it benefits the son. They do it because they need their emotional itch scratched. They need to feel intimacy. How is a child to interpret that? Especially a child whose environment enforces that things should be done for him. This is why it's abuse. This is why it's emotionally inappropriate. This is why this type of enmeshment creates the foundation for someone who's not going to be able to recognize adult intimacy because they're used to being cared for, and they're also used to caring for that person as well, like a spouse. If he's dependent on you, he'll never leave. And if he isn't presently aware that you're manipulating his emotions, when his partner asks something from him, he'll snap. Let me tell y'all something. I have been waiting to talk some shit and not have to explain any of it. So I love this. So here's my first no nuance November. When you dump your adult emotions and your adult problems onto your child's lap, you are literally taking advantage of their fundamental survival skill to protect their parent. So not only does that make you sick, it makes you abusive. Your son is not your husband, full stop. Stop using your daughter to subconsciously make your wife feel less than. That's freaking weird. Every parent has a favorite. It's just not a thing. You're just narcissistic and you only like the traits that you can identify with or control.
I just want to say this. You got me 3 types of fucked up. If you think it is okay for a mother to put her emotional burdens on her child because the father left, she needs to work that out with a therapist. She needs to work that out with her girlfriend. She needs to work that out with somebody other than her child. No, you got me fucked up, packed. If you think that's okay, please don't procreate. Because you're motherfucking selfish and you're emotionally immature and you are not prepared to handle your own big girl or big boy problems. Because this goes for fathers too. Because what you fail to realize is a lot of these mothers who do this have husbands. And these husbands are the same men that father these children. And just because he's emotionally not there for you doesn't mean you can suck the life out of your child. You fucking vampire.
This is a really good question, wanting to know what it looks like to be an emotional spouse to your parent. I'm just going to give you some of the things that I think it is. I'm not a, doctor or psychologist or whatever. When your parent tells you things about your other parent that are just not your business, it could be stuff about their personality, the way that they view them, the way that they see them, but it kind of automatically pits you against the other parent. When your parent comes to you and cries to you about their life issues, their financial issues that you have absolutely no control over and no business knowing. When your parent acts like they can't solve their day-to-day problems without consulting you or throwing it onto your lap or making it your issue too. And when they start to encroach and be intrusive on your romantic relationships because they're feeling threatened. But a lot of times the relationship thing is tricky because they will disguise it and trying to make it seem like the person that you love isn't good enough for you and wouldn't love you like they would.
Okay, tell me you grew up in a toxic household without actually telling me you grew up in a...
I would literally find any excuse under the sun not to go home. I once drove through a blizzard just to go to my boyfriend's house for a couple of hours so I didn't have to be home. Anytime I left my home, I was panicking the entire time about what I was going to come home to. Am I going to be ignored? Am I going to be yelled at? Am I going to be blamed for something that was totally out of my control? My bedroom was basically my tomb of pain. And your parents just think you're artsy fartsy and you like to put all these sad lyrics on your wall. No, I was literally displaying my pain for everyone to see. In the mornings, I would wake up and have many panic attacks about turning my bedroom knob to open the door. And sometimes it would take me hours to actually just open the door.
45-year-old Gen X mom loves to treat their house like it's their senior year of high school.
I couldn't stitch this. The original video is worth the watch. I'll leave it in the comments. But if Gen X moms are like high school women, baby boomer moms are like your third kid's sister. Hear me out. She is like forever in your business, but only gathering information so she could like run it back to daddy. She's constantly bitching about not being included when it's like, girl, it's not your place. And anytime she gets caught in a lie, she basically just cries and acts like an infant. And all of these women seem to treat their sons like pseudo husbands. It's gross. It's disgusting. I can't.
One thing that you wish your parents would have did differently while raising you.
Not make fun of everything that I cared about. Everything outside of school, everything outside of an achievement. Anything that I was creative with, like makeup, like I had to spend so many years hiding wearing makeup when I was actually really good at it. They never embraced that. I was always super creative, a creative writer, wrote short stories and stuff like that. I just always had a super, super outgoing personality. And they basically just made fun of anything that I liked that they didn't understand. Why do you like Eminem so much? Do you even like black people? Like, what kind of question is that? When your parents question everything that you feel like makes you you, then you fundamentally start to think that that's the problem. You.
What's the most fucked up thing that your parents told you as a kid that really hurt your feelings and is still stuck with you today?
She said the most fucked up. I don't know if this is the most fucked up, but this is one of them. So when MySpace first popped off, I was probably like 16 and everyone was putting bathing suit photos on their MySpace, so I naturally put one on there too. And my mom looked at my MySpace, and I've always had large boobs. Now I'm a 36H. I'm gonna just tell y'all, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. But back when I was 16, it was probably up there. And my mom said that I looked pornographic and it needed to come down. And it really made me feel very separated from myself and my sexuality. And I'm 30 now, and I think it's probably why, in some ways, I can be really hypersexual, but I also love that about myself, but I don't know. I think one thing we can all be grateful for this year is learning how fucked up our parents are. Like, the amount of abuse we've all suffered is low-key appalling. And by low-key, I mean the highest of keys. So here's my no discussion December, how to deal with toxic parents. These are just my observations. The first thing you have to do is say everything that they did that was fucked up to you. Write it down, say it out loud. If you don't get it out of your body, you're going to continue to be triggered by it. The second thing you have to do is accept the fact that they didn't mean to do it. It's not an excuse. They just weren't where we are emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They did whatever they could do with whatever they had. Number 3, restrict access to yourself.
No matter how much pressure they put on you, you don't have to be there for everything. Boundaries.
Why should I call you when I have nothing to say? Because we're family? Because you made me? My spirit has zero to gain from you, and your spirit has nothing to give. Why should you have what could be the best part of my day? Why should I give up the subsequent hours it takes to get you out of my system once I've let you in? Why should I check on you when you don't even check for me? That's why I don't call you. Because like I said, I have nothing to say.
To anyone living with a bigoted parent or relative, I grew up in a household where I had to make myself small at times to avoid being yelled at, lashed out on, whatever. And right now, I really feel for y'all. And I'm really sorry. I understand like how painful it can be just to want to leave your room every day. And I'm sorry. Do things to make yourself feel safe and calm.